Imagine being so powerful that your mood swings have a higher body count than most villains. Congratulations, you're Storm, the mutant who treats global climate systems like mood lighting. One minute you're glowing goddess of the sky, the next you're a Category 5 breakup. Everyone thinks being able to summon hurricanes is glamorous. Yeah, until your PMS triggers a blizzard in Wakanda. You're basically Mother Nature with anxiety and 0 vacation days. And don't forget, every time you step outside, random citizens start worshipping you like a weather app with legs. Sounds flattering, until you realize the app gets blamed for every drought, flood, and lightning strike. So buckle up, because we're about to unpack the divine nightmare known as Storm, the woman who makes climate change look like a personality quirk. Welcome to Why It Sucks to Be Storm. You know what's a great way to start life? Falling out of the sky in a fireball. Yes, before Storm was a regal weather goddess with flowing white hair and enough drip to humble Fashion Week, she was a terrified child plummeting toward the ground in a plane explosion. Nothing says, "Welcome to Earth," like a dramatic origin story speedrun. Your parents die instantly. You survive, because of course you do. You're Storm. Suffering is your birthright. You crawl out of the wreckage into Cairo, where life immediately decides, hey, let's make this worse. You become an orphan pickpocket, stealing wallets like an adorable, traumatized hurricane in training, and people notice something's off. Not the glowing eyes thing. That comes later. But the vibe. Kids your age are learning hopscotch. You're learning how to dodge police, starvation, and men who swear you're blessed by the spirits. Translation, they're scared of you. And when you finally hit puberty, boom, lightning. Actual lightning. Suddenly, every emotional hiccup turns your environment into a weather-based jump scare. Thunder when you're sad, windstorms when you're angry, and the occasional, oops, I electrocuted the neighbor moment. Before Storm becomes a goddess, she's a walking natural disaster with abandonment issues. So, you survived Egyptian thunder therapy and somehow made it to adulthood? Congratulations! Your prize is getting drafted as the X-Men's personal climate control device. Welcome to Westchester, where the only thing more unpredictable than mutant puberty is Storm's claustrophobia. Seriously? Put her in a broom closet and she'll summon a tornado out of sheer anxiety. Cyclops leads a team with laser pointer memos. Storm leads by negotiating with her own panic attacks. And here's the fun part. When most people say, I felt the pressure, they don't mean the kind that could flatten a city block. Every time Professor X hands her the reins, Storm has to juggle. Save the world. Don't accidentally electrocute the world. And please don't hyperventilate in the Blackbird again. Leadership? Yeah, it's less trust your gut and more your gut is a Category 5 hurricane with abandonment issues. You want her resume? More global evacuations than presidential selfies. She's a queen, a hero, a fashion icon, and somehow every decision she makes gets instant feedback from the meteorological equivalent of Twitter trolls. One wrong call and suddenly TMZ is like, Storm causes record-breaking hailstorm. Problematic? And the thing nobody tells you about weather control, Storm can't even control her own panic attacks. Leadership stops being glamorous when breathing becomes optional. Here's the part where Storm discovers her real mutant power, weaponized mood swings. Most people skip breakfast and get a little cranky. Aurora Monroe gets hangry, the Sahara turns into a slip and slide, and New York goes underwater. Someone ghosts her texts, Category 3 cyclone. Awkward group therapy session in the danger room, spontaneous hailstorm. At this point, her therapist should be wearing floaties and a wetsuit. Let's be honest, every emotional blip in Storm's psyche gets automatically upgraded to an international incident. If she ever had to post a Facebook status, it would just read, feeling existential menace. At least Superman gets to mope in peace. Storm's bad vibes comes with a flood warning. And here's a cosmic joke. She doesn't just care. She cares so hard the planet itself starts begging her to take a nap. Every time Storm's heart wobbles, the atmosphere goes, girl please. Because in Storm's world, feelings aren't private, they're planetary. When she's sad, the Earth panic attacks with her. When she's happy, rainforest accidentally gets sautéed. When she's anxious, entire countries start pre-writing FEMA reports. Forget walking on eggshells. Storm walks on tectonic plates that know her dating history. Now imagine living with the guilt, knowing your sadness can sink a city. Your joy can cook a rainforest. Your panic attacks can eject a power grid from the eastern seaboard. She's not just responsible for her emotions, she's responsible for the climate's emotions. Storm doesn't just feel the world feels her back. Now we enter Storm's royal era, the part of her life that sounds majestic until you remember Marvel marriages have the structural integrity of IKEA furniture in a hurricane. Yes, Storm marries T'Challa, Black Panther, King of Wakanda, part-time Avenger, and full-time distributor of judgmental side-eye. It starts like every perfect comic book love story. Two world beaters, absurdly attractive, uniting continents with love, mutual respect, and matching capes. The wedding is so iconic, even the sky blushed. But the universe saw this power couple and said, let's ruin that. Because here's the truth, being in a relationship while your emotions control global weather patterns is complicated. Forget happy wife, happy life. Try slightly irritated storm equals unscheduled tsunamis across the African coastline. Imagine juggling global weather crises and royal in-laws who expect you to show up to a brunch without accidentally causing a tornado. If you thought meeting your partner's parents was stressful, try doing it while the atmosphere is waiting to see if you cry. Then the political drama hits. Wars, betrayals, invasions, retcons. Yes, even Marvel editorial reboots show up to slap the marriage papers out of her hands. Someone online once joked that Storm's emotional forecast after tying the knot was partly betrayed. Chance of heartbreak's 100% chance of writers forgetting this union by next issue. And then comes a divorce. A clean, clinical, soul-shredding annulment delivered in perfect Wakandan formality. 1 minute you're a queen. The next you're being written out of Wakandan history by people who think vibranium is stronger than feelings. T'Challa loses his queen. The sky loses its calm. Twitter loses its damn mind. If you think your marriage had problems, imagine negotiating a prenup where you promise not to flood entire nations on a bad day. For Storm, forever lasted until the next editorial reboot. You survived royalty, heartbreak, and at least 3 acts of emotional weather terrorism. Now Marvel finally admits what everyone already knew. Storm isn't just powerful, she's Omega level. Translation, her therapy sessions need a planetary evacuation plan. Omega level means she doesn't just control the weather, she is the weather, and the weather is tired. Every emotion she feels is a high-stakes wager. There's no off switch, just a constant awareness that if she sneezes too hard, the planet might reboot like a cheap Windows laptop. Insert cutaway, Earth restarting, please wait, installing updates, 1 of 47. Other Omega mutants manipulate matter or reality. Storm manipulates ecosystems like she's adjusting the brightness on her phone. Earthquakes, hurricanes, sudden ice age. That's not climate change. That's Ororo having a rough Tuesday. Meanwhile, meteorologists are scrambling, drawing frantic arrows on weather maps like, this should not be happening. Storm, yeah, I had a dream about my ex. Meteorologist, Coachella's turning into Waterworld Ororo. Her cosmic resume now includes Climate God, Earthquake Insurance Risk, Living Breathing Armageddon Alert. And don't forget the pressure. Every disaster humans can't fix becomes, why didn't Storm stop it? Oh, a cyclone hit Australia? Storm must be distracted. Oh, my picnic got rained out? Cancel her. Cyclops has to apologize for property damage. Storm has to apologize for continental drift. Even her sleep isn't safe. Other heroes have nightmares about villains. Storm has nightmares that double as warning signals for global meteorological agencies. This is the life of an Omega, infinite power paired with infinite responsibility, infinite expectation, and zero emotional privacy. Every feeling she has becomes a potential extinction event. And that's for the real curse. Storm didn't choose global responsibility. Global responsibility chose her. Because gifted kid burnout doesn't hit the same when your burnout triggers mass extinction events. Welcome to the part of Storm's life where she stops being a mutant, stops being a queen, and quietly evolves into something Marvel Comics never fully know what to do with. A literal goddess suffering from divine burnout. There's Omega level, and then there's this. This is where Storm's power stops behaving like abilities and starts behaving like cosmic firmware installed directly into the universe. She doesn't summon storms anymore. She manipulates weather in space. She stabilizes atmospheres on alien worlds. She adjusts ecosystems in pocket dimensions that technically don't even have weather. That's not superhero territory. That's cosmic administrator privileges. Like the universe accidentally gave her the root password. But here's the loneliness stitched into divinity. Nobody relates to you anymore. Nobody sees you anymore. People once prayed to Storm with offerings. Priests called her name when crops failed. Now, she's basically that cosmic weather app everyone deletes when it starts buffering. Her friends age, her worshippers vanish, her teammates fall away one by one, and Xavier School slowly turns into retirement village for washed-up gods and mutant exiles, while Storm drifts above it all, ageless, powerful, and utterly detached. Because worship isn't intimacy. Worship is just loneliness with better lighting. And Storm carries a burden so massive it would shatter almost any other being. She feels the planet's pain directly. The droughts, the dying oceans, the forests starving for sunlight. Every ecological wound gets delivered straight into Storm's nervous systems like a cosmic crisis hotline she never signed up for. Imagine waking up and feeling the Amazon beg for water. Imagine feeling the Arctic shiver. Imagine sensing the atmosphere cry. Storm doesn't imagine it. She endures it. She becomes a cosmic custodian of a world that's constantly hurting, a goddess holding together a planet that can't stop bleeding. And the cruelest truth, everyone wants her thunder, but no one wants her rain. No matter how many apocalypses she stops, how many timelines she stabilizes, how many entire worlds she protects, her reward is the same. Divine detachment, cosmic silence, eternity's echo as her only applause. What use is infinite power when no one remembers the girl behind the lightning? What's the point of being a goddess when no one prays anymore? Here it is, the final inevitable evolution of Aurora Monroe. The moment she stops being a goddess walking among mortals and becomes something far more ancient, far more terrifying, and far more tragic, the storm that judges the world. This isn't about heroism anymore. Not leadership, not royalty, not Omega classification. This is the version of Storm the universe whispers about when it thinks she isn't listening. The incarnation where her power stops answering to her and starts answering to cosmic balance itself. Because as Storm's strength grows, so does the truth she's tried her whole life to outrun. Sometimes the apocalypse isn't a villain. Sometimes the apocalypse is nature correcting itself. And Storm becomes the correction. She has the power to end civilizations without raising her voice. She has the power to scour continents clean and regrow them greener than before. She has the power to decide who rebuilds and who doesn't. Not because she wants to, because she's connected to the laws of the earth in a way no human, no mutant, no god ever has been. Her body is a pressure system. Her heart is a tidal cycle. Her grief is a monsoon. Her serenity is a planet exhaling. And when the world is dying, when the oceans boil, when the sky turns to ash, and when humanity chokes the planet with arrogance, Storm doesn't just feel it, she becomes its response. Imagine a Storm who stops holding back, a Storm who relinquishes her mortal restraint, a Storm who accepts that destruction is sometimes the only path to life. This is the Aurora who appears in apocalyptic futures and alternate timelines, the one floating above a withered earth like a silent judgment, lightning crackling along her skin as if the planet itself is speaking through her. This is the Storm whose hair glows like the sun coming through smoke, the Storm whose eyes become white voids of atmosphere and fury, the Storm who stands in the center of planetary ruin, the literal eye of the apocalypse. Calm, unwavering, sorrowful, but resolute. Not evil, not vengeful, not corrupted, just inevitable, just necessary. And what makes this the saddest, most haunting version of Storm isn't the destruction, it's the acceptance, the peace on her face as she becomes the Storm she spent her whole life controlling, the stillness of a woman who tried for decades to save everyone, only to realize she might have to break the world to heal it. Because when Storm reaches this point, the precipice between goddess and elemental force, she is no longer asking, "What should I do?" She's asking, "What does the world need me to become?" And that is why it sucks to be Storm. At her final form, she isn't the hero of the story anymore. She's the weather, she's the judgment, she's the ending and the beginning. So after 7 levels of trauma, heartbreak, climate anxiety, divine loneliness, cosmic responsibility, and one extremely justified apocalypse arc, what's the final verdict? It seriously sucks to be Storm. She's the only superhero whose emotions get reported on by meteorologists. The only queen asked to prevent hurricanes and attend brunch. The only goddess who can stop Armageddon but can't stop Twitter from blaming her for rainy weekends. Here's the twist. For all the pain, all the pressure, all the cosmic expectations, Storm still shows up, still saves the world, still tries to be human in a life that refuses to let her be one. Because Storm isn't the lightning or the thunder or the cyclone. She's the calm in the center, the impossible stillness inside the chaos. And maybe that's the real reason she's terrifying. The sky doesn't control her, she controls the sky, even when it breaks her. If you enjoyed this descent into weather-based suffering, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us which Omega level meltdown you want covered next. See you in the next storm.